Right, no, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing okay. It's been a while. Been a while since my last video on this particular channel, and simple reason is been busy. I've got a toddler, wife to keep happy, and work, and I've got another channel as well, a Formula One channel. For those who are Formula One fans who are interested in involved in that channel, I'll leave a link in the description for that, just in case that is your thing. Obviously, if you're watching this video, it's because you're quitting smoking, or you want to quit smoking, or perhaps you have quit smoking and you need perhaps some guidance, motivation, maybe. Or just sometimes it's easy to talk with someone or relate with someone who's going through the same or has been through the uh, same motions when it comes to quitting smoking. So this video is quite simple. It is my top 5 tips. Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert on the matter, etc. I'm not a hypnotist. I'm just simply a guy who smoked for the best part of 18 to 20 years, from about 13, 14, right the way through till I was 32. That was a couple of years ago. And then I just quit, and I've not had a cigarette since. And I feel good. I feel fine. I don't feel the need for one. There's no cravings. I feel absolutely free of them. In fact, I look at it back and I think, what on earth was I doing for all those years? That is the feeling you will get once you get through the various stages of the process of quitting smoking. So these are my top 5 tips. Tip number 1, and this isn't an order in which is the sort of most important or the least important. They're all relatively important, or certainly, in my opinion, very important. And these are, everyone has different experiences, and these are from my experiences. Tip number 1, don't refer it to giving up. You are quitting. You are not giving up, you are quitting. If you are giving up, it means you're doing it reluctant. When you giving up, like giving up chocolate, for example, you're doing it because you need a break from it, or because you know it's best for you and so on. But you like chocolate. You're giving it up. You're not giving this up. You're quitting. You're quitting smoking because you no longer want that smell, that taste, that being unsociable, that cost, etc. You're in a position where, I just had enough of these. I just really want to no longer smoke. You're quitting. Refer to it as quitting. I know it's just a language, it's just a wording, a terminology, if you like, but believe me, there's nothing more. Um, there's nothing. It's so in your head is the smoking, the way in which it works, the morale boosting. It's mind over matter, and I'm saying that as someone who, again, 20 years, 18 to 20 years, smoking 20 fags a day. It's mind over matter. So having the right terminology can genuinely help with that motivation, and that, because you want your brain to hate cigarettes. You want to hate them. You want to, oh no, don't want that. Don't want to touch. So again, terminology. You're quitting. You're not giving up. You're quitting. That is my first tip. My second tip number 2, and this can vary from one person to another, but this is my personal experience. Tip number 2: plan ahead. And what I did, and it was that I tried several times over the years to quit smoking, and the one time I was successful, I really planned ahead. Now, I just got back from America. I bought a load of fags, as you do, back from America on a much cheaper. Even now, or back then, 2019, this was still considerably cheaper. I bought back quite a lot of fags. And I said to myself, once I made the decision I was going to quit, and this was because my wife was pregnant, I said, I'm going to smoke these last set of fags I've got. Once they've gone, they've gone. And they took me from about the beginning of December until the 3rd of January. 3rd of January 2020, which is the last day I quit, the last day I smoked. 8:30 in the evening, 3rd of January 2020, just before the start of the pandemic. And by planning ahead meant that I had almost the month. I wasn't frightened or scared about what was coming up. I was motivated because I'd had it in my head. It was it. This was it. I'm going. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Going for it. We're going. And so by the time the day actually came, I was almost sort of glad it got there. To be perfectly honest with you, because I spent the month training myself by talking to myself, and I made a habit of letting people know that this was the plan. I was going to do this, because then I felt like I wasn't going to let people down, or that if I did start smoking, I would let people down. And the motivation of not letting people down was in my opinion, a big contributing factor. So planning ahead. The other thing to watch out for when it comes to planning ahead. Now, some people say, oh, well, I'm going to give up smoke. I'm going to quit smoking in 4 weeks' time, and up until that 4 weeks, I'm going to do a gradual slowdown, a gradual cutting or easing off the cigarettes. I'm going to go from 20 a day, and by the time we get to 4 weeks, I'll be on 10 a day, and then it'll be easier. Bollocks. So I'm going to say that is absolute bollocks. It will not work. If you've been smoking 20 a day, 30 a day, whatever it is, for a long period of time, it won't work. Quite simply, you start making promises for yourself. If you don't keep up with one promise, you're going to lose out on another, and so on. For example, and this is easily done. And this is why, by the way, this is one of the, if not the most common faults that people make when trying to quit smoking. One of the biggest things as to why they end up back on the fags. It's the promises you make yourself. Well, I've been 2 weeks, so I probably could go and have one or two and then do another 2 weeks and so on. No, you can't. It's like an alcoholic. If you have one drink, you can't have no drinks. And that's the way you've got to approach smoking. So this whole planning ahead and cutting down, don't do it. You will make promises of, you know what, I'm gonna cut out that one in the morning. I'm gonna have one first thing in the morning, but I'm not gonna have one when I get to work. One in the morning, I'm gonna have one on the way to work, but I'm not gonna have another one just before I start. I'm gonna miss that one out. And then within a couple of days, you'll go, you know what, I'll have that one, but actually I'll just move the afternoon one, the lunchtime one. Instead of having two at lunch, I'll just have one at lunch. Still cutting down and so on. And you'll end up never sticking to it. And then when you get to that date that you had planned to quit for good, and that you were going to be on 10 a day instead of 20, you're not going to be on 10 a day, you're going to be on 20 a day still. And then it's, oh, well, I'm going to have to delay another month and get this cutting down, and you'll never get there. Trust me, it's not a good idea, in my opinion. And that is someone, again, I'm not an expert, I'm saying a personal experience, and I'm sure there'll be people who are watching this who will relate. It's not a good idea. Plan ahead, but don't change your routine. Don't change your habit. And actually takes on to tip number 3. Tip number 3: don't make promises that you cannot keep. Simple. And I know that's true in all walks of life, but in particular with the smoking, and especially not just we just talked about the build up to your quit date, but even after your quit date. So many people have tried to go through it's been a week, I could probably have one or two, and then because I know I can be a week now, and then you have one or two, and before you know it, or I can just have one or two in the evening. I can have one or two after work, after dinner, in the evenings, and chill out. Common thing a lot of people think they can do. Now, whilst a lot of people, well, not a lot, some very few people can do that. Most of those people are not heavy long-term smokers. They've been social smokers. Perhaps they would smoke 5 or 6 a day, and now they just quit that or cut down to 1 or 2. No, that can happen, but it's a full-time 20 a day plus smoker going down to 1 or 2. Just trust me, there is nothing I would of if I could have 1 or 2 in the evening after work, after dinner, go out in the garden, because one of the things I used to like, and those who've never smoked will never understand, and I have, so I can relate. When you go outside, and because I never smoked in the house, and I don't think I don't think many do these days. I think more people are more inclined now about going outside for a cigarette. And you go outside, and you've had a nice dinner, light up their cigarettes, you've got a nice cold drink, and for 5 minutes, everything just disappears. Don't think about work, you don't stress your stresses in life, you just enjoy dinner, yeah, nice cigarettes, yeah, drink. Ah. And I always say for those who have never smoked, and I think I said this in my previous video, think of that when you've had a long, hard day and you get in that bath for the first time. You've got a nice hot bubble bath, dip your feet in, now your legs, you sit down and you lean back and you deep breath and so on. And that's non-smokers or those who have never smoked will never understand. That to me, those evening, 1 or 2 in the evening after my dinner, that's what that was like. And that's what you're taking away. You're not taking away the fag, you're taking away that 5 minutes of bliss and the 5 minutes of comfort and without the stress and strains of everyday life. Do I get it? Do I get it? But if you're quitting smoking, you're going to have to consider quitting that. Not consider, no, you have to do it. I'm not going to say consider it. Because the reality is when you make those promises, you know what, I'm going to just go down and have 1 or 2 of those a day. Well, I can tell you now. Okay, you promise yourself, I'm going to have just a couple in the evening after work, after dinner. And then one morning, you're going to go, you know what, I'm going to have one with my coffee. But I'll just have one in the evening. So that's my promise. I'm going to have one in the morning and I'll have one in the evening. I'm going to compensate by not having 2 in the evening. I'm just going to have one. But you'll still have those 2 in the evening anyway. And then it'll be one every morning and 2 in the evening. Oh, well, the extra one's not going to hurt. And it'll be one at lunchtime. I'm going to get one in the evening. Or in fact, I'm not going to have one in tomorrow morning. But you still have one tomorrow morning. You're woken up. You want your cup of coffee. What do you have? Your cup of coffee. You have a cigarette. And the cycle begins. And it's a never-ending cycle. So again, tip number 3, don't make promises you can't keep. Tip number 4, keeping count. Now, there's 2 different elements to this. Firstly, there's keeping count on the amount of cigarettes that you're not smoking. Why? Because you need the success come from it. You need to be able to look back and say, you know what, I haven't smoked this amount of cigarettes. And you can track that with apps. I've got an app on my phone. In fact, I can tell you exactly. If I bring up the app on my phone, I can tell you exactly how many fags I've not smoked. I can also tell you the other part of keeping count, and that is the finances. How much money you are saving. So, let's have a look here. Fags not smoked. So, firstly, I am smoke free. At the time of recording this, 859 days. I have not smoked 17,190, and I have saved £8,595.44. And I smoked, like I said, an average 20 a day, and that was a mixture of cigarettes and tobacco roll-ups. So keeping count, because I can look at that and it's nothing more than motivating yourself and think, what an achievement. 17,000 fags I've not smoked. 17,000 fags, and that's in a couple of years. Well, two years and 4 months or so. 17,000, £8.5 cash. £8.5 cash. Even now I look at that and think, oh dear. You can do it. You can get there. The tip number 4, counting cost. Or should I say keeping count? What I meant, keeping count. Now, I could give 100 tips. I really can. But this is my tip number 5. And this, again, it's one of those where some will relate, some won't. My tip number 5 is tell people you care about and whose opinions matter to you. Whether it be your wife, whether it be your children, your parents, whatever. And the reason why, one of the real things that got me through those first few weeks, and it does get easier, and within a couple of months, I started to forget very quickly what it even tasted like, what it felt like to have a fag. But the biggest motivator I had apart from knowing I was going to be a father to my youngest son, uh, was the thought of letting people down. I had so many people who were really rooting for me, and I had people that never believed that I would do it, and that was a motivation itself because I wanted to prove them wrong because I'm that sort of person. Um, Nothing like winning. I'm competitive and like winning. I won. They didn't think I was going to quit. I won. That's the way I look at it. I won. But more importantly, I didn't want to let people down. People were really sort of, oh yeah, with the bit one on the way and the fact that I planned this and so on, and it built up quite a lot. A lot of people knew I was going to do it. People at work, I I didn't want to be seen by my colleagues, my family members as, oh, here he goes again. No, he can't do it. He'll never do it. Not in him. Hasn't got it in him. But I did, and I proved them wrong. The ones who doubted and the ones who didn't doubt, they saw that I can do it, and I didn't want to let them down, and I didn't let them down, and that fear of letting them down was better than the fear of going back to cigarettes. So again, tip number 5: tell people that you want to know, the ones that you really believe you would be letting down. Motivate yourself by doing so. Right, and they are my 5 tips to quitting smoking, my 5 personal tips. Now, again, people will differ about what their top 5 tips would be. Those are mine. And some of those, hopefully some of you perhaps are going through the process for, I absolutely get that, I see it. Some will say, well, actually, it doesn't work for me. We're all different. There is no right or wrong way as such. There are easier ways, there are harder ways, in my opinion. But whatever you're doing, whatever way you're trying, however you're doing it, I do hope you're successful, because believe me, and for those who haven't gone through that process yet but really would like to, there's nothing more free than the feeling of not planning your life around cigarettes. Planning your life, by the way, is another video that I will be doing in the very near future. If you do like this video, please feel free to click that like button. Please feel free to subscribe. Please feel free to share it. I'd really like this channel to be able to help people who've gone through the same process or going through this process of trying to quit smoking. But until the next time, and it won't be long till the next one, I'll see you all again soon.